On the African savanna, the lion is considered the predator at the top of the food chain. But not every approach ends in victory. In the rare recorded moments, the lion's strength, speed, and dominance are sometimes insufficient to overpower its prey. It is these misguided hunts that expose the delicate line between power and failure in nature. How the desert oryx stops its brain from frying. The oryx is an arid antelope, notable for its long, straight, and extremely sharp horns. An adult can weigh over 400 pounds, possessing remarkable stamina and the ability to withstand harsh environments. For the oryx, standing still and facing the predator is sometimes safer than running away. When the lion approaches, it's more of a test of strength than a sure win. The lion closes in from behind, looking for a moment of distraction. But the oryx doesn't panic. It turns its head, lowers its horns, and maintains distance in a clearly defensive posture. The approach quickly stalls. Just one wrong step could leave the predator facing serious injury. The lion hesitates, then retreats when it realizes the risks outweigh the potential gains. The encounter ended without a decisive attack. Oryx remained standing, and the lion retreated in silence. In nature, not all prey is born to be hunted. Some species survive by forcing predators to give up. The African buffalo is one of the most dangerous hoofed animals on the savanna. An adult can weigh over 1,500 pounds with curved horns, extremely strong neck muscles, and a very strong herd instinct. Unlike many other herbivores, buffalo rarely panic when faced with danger. The lion's initial approach targets an individual at the edge of the herd. With a quick approach and brief pressure, the lion attempts to separate the prey from the group. But in just seconds, the buffalo's reaction completely changes the situation. The individuals at the back turn around. The formation tightens. Defense turns into an offensive advance. The numerical pressure increases rapidly, forcing the lion to face multiple pairs of horns at once. When the individual advantage is eliminated, the predator has no safe option. The lion retreats to avoid being overwhelmed. The buffalo herd held their position, then continued moving together. Wild buffalo are one of the few species that can reverse the roles of hunter and hunted. In nature, collective strength is sometimes enough to force a predator to leave without success. Warthogs are often underestimated because of their short stature, heavy bodies, and seemingly slow gait. But beneath that exterior lies quick reflexes and excellent short-distance acceleration. On the savanna, warthogs survive through instantaneous decision-making, not through sustained endurance. Two lionesses silently approached, waiting for the warthog to step into open space. The approach was quick, but the control wasn't enough to end it immediately. As soon as it sensed danger, the warthog didn't dodge, but charged straight ahead with all its might. a short distance, the warthog could accelerate very quickly, enough to disrupt the pursuit. This sudden burst of speed caught the lions off guard, forcing them to stop. In just a few seconds, a safe distance was created. The hunt ended prematurely. The lion gave up, and the warthog escaped danger. In nature, reflexes and acceleration are sometimes just as important as agility. Survival can be decided in the first few seconds. Baboons are primates that live in close-knit groups, with a high degree of coordination and alertness. An adult can weigh over 80 pounds, possess strong teeth, and have quick reflexes. In the open environment, the baboon's strength lies not in the individual, but in their almost instantaneous collective reaction. The lion approaches from the edge of the group, maintaining distance and conducting brief, silent reconnaissance. When a baboon turns its head and gives a warning signal, the entire group immediately concentrates, shifting the psychological balance in seconds. The risk of multiple individuals attacking simultaneously, especially bites aimed at the face and eyes, forces the lion to reconsider the entire situation. The lion stops and retreats. The baboon group maintains its formation, then continues moving. In nature, attitude and confidence are sometimes more important than size. A predator fails when it loses control of its own psychological advantage. On the vast savanna, the wildebeest is a large, hoofed animal with remarkable endurance. An adult can weigh nearly 600 pounds, with large lungs and a muscular system that allows for sustained movement. On the savanna, the wildebeest survives not through explosive speed, but through its ability to maintain rhythm and not easily panic. This approach came from a young lion, inexperienced in assessing risk. It charged forward early, seeking a quick, close-range finish. But the wildebeest did not flee in disarray. As the distance narrowed, it suddenly thrust its body forward and hooked its horns low, forcing the predator to readjust its position. Just seconds later, the lion's initial advantage vanished. The toss and hooks weren't intended to kill, but were enough to cause lasting injury. For a young predator, this was an insurmountable line. The lion stopped and retreated. Having lost its physical advantage and facing the risk of injury, the hunt ended in silence. The wildebeest returned to its rhythm with a pride. In nature, experience is just as important as strength, and a small mistake can end an entire hunt. Porcs are solitary herbivores that move slowly and rely almost entirely on speed for survival. An adult weighs over 25 pounds with a low, sturdy body protected by thousands of hard spines that can stand erect when sensing danger. In the world of the porcupine, survival doesn't come from running away, but from the ability to make its opponent hesitate. The lion approached with clear caution. It advanced a few steps, paused, then retreated to observe. There was no sudden lunge, no aggressive closing. Each time the distance narrowed, the spine stood up, creating a boundary the predator dared not cross. As the porcupine slowly retreated into a narrow space among the bushes, the lion's last remaining advantage vanished. With no safe approach point, no foothold, every attempt carried the risk of serious injury. The hunt stopped before it truly began. The lion chose to retreat cautiously, abandoning what seemed like an easy but risky target. The porcupine continued to move slowly toward safety. In nature, effective defense doesn't require an offensive. The porcupine won by making the predator understand that the price to pay was not worth it. In the animal world, elephants are the largest land animals on the planet. A mature individual can weigh over 13,000 pounds, stand over 10 feet tall at the shoulder, possess thick skin, a massive body, and characteristic composure. Within their herds, elephants maintain strict order and possess a very high level of danger awareness. The lion's approach in this situation is not driven by a need for food. The real objective is to assess a potential threat and the elephant's territorial defense response. The lion's approach is brief, not aimed at killing, but to gauge the reaction of its much larger opponent. The approach takes only seconds. Dust rises as the elephants immediately turn around, maintain their formation, and advance with absolute initiative. There is no panic, no fleeing. Just one step forward by an elephant is enough to completely negate any advantage a lion has. Once the threat is confirmed to be gone, the elephant stops and continues moving with the herd. The lion retreats, ceasing its approach. Elephants don't need to attack to assert their dominance. In nature, their mere presence is enough to overwhelm even the predator at the top of the food chain. On open plains, gazelles maintain constant movement. Their light bodies, long legs, and ability to maintain a steady pace allow them to avoid relying solely on top speed. For gazelles, each stride is a crucial decision to avoid falling into the predator's path. Lions are not outpaced in terms of speed or short-term stamina. However, the approach distance and timing determine the entire outcome. When the charge is launched, the gazelle suddenly changes direction and leaps, breaking the pursuit in an instant. From that point, the advantage quickly vanishes. The lion slows down, no longer having the precise conditions to continue closing in. The gazelle widens the distance and moves out of the danger zone, maintaining a steady pace. The hunt ends without a decisive collision. Gazelle escaped safely, while the lion remained in the open field. On the savanna, hunting is a matter of precision, not just a test of strength. These failed hunts demonstrate that the lion's strength doesn't always guarantee victory. Each prey species possesses its own survival strategy, honed over time and through its environment. On the savanna, success or failure is determined not only by strength or speed, but by timing, distance, and accurate risk assessment. In nature, the survivor isn't the most aggressive, but the one who understands its own limits.
On the African savanna, lions always play the proactive role in approaching and launching survival attacks. Each advance is accompanied by intense tension, as distance narrows and the opponent's reaction is measured in seconds. Some confrontations erupt quickly, others drag on in a stalemate, and sometimes lions are forced to stop when the risks outweigh the potential advantages. Lions are symbols of power on the African savannas, where open space dictates dominance. A mature male can weigh over 400 pounds, reaching speeds of nearly 50 miles per hour in short bursts. They live in close-knit prides, relying on strength, experience, and coordination to control their territory. But that strength doesn't exist in isolation. It's tied to familiar environments and a broad perspective. When conditions change, the lion's advantage is also challenged. In the wild, dominance isn't just about being stronger, but about being in the right place at the right time. The adult life of a lion begins with a very low survival rate. In fact, only about 40% of lion cubs survive to adulthood. The majority are eliminated early, before they have a chance to demonstrate their strength. From a young age, lion cubs face multiple dangers simultaneously. Hyenas, leopards, snakes, and even other male lions can cause serious harm. Every small mistake reduces their chances of survival. Once they reach adulthood, male lions are not allowed to remain with the pride. They are forced to leave, wandering for years in conditions of food scarcity and without a fixed territory. Only those individuals who form alliances are capable of returning to challenge and defend their territory. This stage ends when the majority of individuals have been eliminated. The lion's power is not innate, but is forged through a long and rigorous selection process. Reaching maturity means overcoming multiple successive rounds of elimination in the wild.
And yeah, it's really hectic now.
Leopards are solitary predators, with adult weights typically ranging from 70 to 150 pounds. They don't seek power struggles or territorial expansion. Most of the time, leopards choose to avoid conflict to maintain their safety. Primarily nocturnal, they rely on their keen observation skills and stealthy movements. In familiar conditions, leopards excel. Their quick reflexes and high speed allow them to react quickly. Their climbing abilities enable them to utilize three-dimensional space, maintaining distance from larger predators. The situation changes when lions appear in groups. a male and female lion pair can gradually narrow escape routes, leaving leopards with no space to evade. When surrounded collectively, speed and reflexes are no longer sufficient to maintain a safe distance. The encounter ends quickly. Leopards don't lose because they lack strength, but because they aren't adapted to confront organized groups. In nature, each species survives based on its own strategy, and that difference determines the outcome of those rare encounters. Zebras are gregarious herbivores that rely on numbers and vigilance to mitigate risk. They can run quickly over short distances and react to the group's movements. However, this coordination is easily disrupted when the herd stops to rest or moves through narrow areas. When lions approach, the zebra herd immediately accelerates. The lion's target is the individual at the edge of the formation, where reaction times are slower and less protected. The attack is brief, with lions coordinating to cut off the herd's movement. The outcome is usually determined very quickly. If the zebras maintain their speed and formation, the lions stop. If an individual is separated from the herd, the advantage shifts to the predator. In nature, this is a brief confrontation where small deviations decide the outcome. Hyenas are highly organized predators. They live in a matriarchal structure with high discipline, maintaining constant communication between individuals. Their powerful bite and ability to exert constant pressure allow hyenas to control many competitive situations. However, hyenas have clear limits. When their numbers are insufficient, they rarely confront each other directly. When a male lion appears, the situation changes immediately. The hyena pack spreads out and maintains a safe distance. Lions don't just act to protect their immediate food sources. They approach and control the areas hyenas use for breeding and raising their young. This strategy isn't short-lived, but cyclical, forcing hyenas to leave their familiar territory. The confrontation ends without immediate results. Lions don't overwhelm through sheer strength, but by weakening their rival's ability to sustain their pride in the future. This is a form of long-term competition for living space and survival. Cheetahs represent efficient hunting on grasslands. They are the fastest land mammals, capable of reaching speeds of over 60 miles per hour in short chases. However, their light bodies and slender bone structure leave them almost defenseless. Their survival depends on constant alertness and timely reactions. In ecological reality, cheetahs are excellent hunters, but rarely retain their prey. A single moment of delay in a chase can instantly negate any advantage. When lions appear, cheetahs don't seek confrontation. They retreat, abandoning their prey to avoid greater risk. Lions don't need to accelerate or engage in prolonged pursuits. The presence and pressure of the pride are enough to gain control of the area. For cheetahs, retreating is the only way to survive. The encounter ends without a prolonged fight. Cheetahs don't lose because they're weak at hunting, but because they aren't designed for defense. In the wild, they rely on absolute precision, where even a moment's delay can change the outcome. The African buffalo is one of the largest and most dangerous herbivores on the grasslands. An adult can weigh over 1,500 pounds with curved horns and thick muscles. They live in large herds, maintaining tight formations to protect their young and weaker members. When a lion approaches a herd of buffalo, the goal is never a direct confrontation with the entire group. The lion moves slowly, observing and waiting for a split in the formation. An older or younger individual pushed to the edge immediately becomes the focal point. The attack is coordinated, gradually weakening the buffalo's ability to resist. However, this is a high-risk hunt. Buffaloes often counterattack fiercely, and many encounters force the lion to retreat. The outcome is not always in favor of the predator. The confrontation ends when the balance of advantage becomes clear. If conditions are unfavorable, the lion stops. In nature, victory over a buffalo is not inevitable. It is a test of the limits of strength, where only the right decisions allow for continued survival. African wild dogs are predators that rely on discipline and alertness. They react quickly, move nimbly, and are always on the lookout for their surroundings. On the open grasslands, their goal isn't to overwhelm their opponent, but to minimize risk. Encounters with lions rarely stem from prey. It's a territorial conflict. When a lion appears, the pack of wild dogs immediately disperses, breaking their own tight formation to avoid a decisive charge. They don't seek to win, but to avoid losing, widening the gap and forcing their opponent to choose. For a mature male lion, a well-timed burst of speed is enough to establish dominance. But that opportunity doesn't always present itself. When a lioness is with her cubs, the objective shifts dramatically. It's no longer about dominance, but about protection. The lioness maintains her position, advancing just enough to force the wild dogs to retreat. The confrontation ended without an absolute winner. One side possessed overwhelming power. The other used tactics to mitigate risk. In nature, the most important thing is not to defeat the opponent, but to protect what needs to be protected. Through these encounters, the lion demonstrates that its survival is not solely based on strength. Each approach is the result of observation, patience, and risk assessment. Sometimes the lion advances, sometimes it stops, and sometimes it retreats completely. On the grasslands, power is maintained by making the right choices at the right time, not by successive victories.